ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਕੋਲੰਬੀਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਵਿਡ-19 ਦੇ ਮਾਮਲਿਆਂ 'ਚ ਵੱਡਾ ਵਾਧਾ ਹੋਣ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜੋ ਹਦਾਇਤਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਖਤ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਜਾ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਬੋਨੀ ਹੈਨਰੀ ਦੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਕਿਹਾ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਘਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਕੱਠ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਣਾ ਹੈ, ਜੋ ਘਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਛੋਟੀਆਂ ਪਾਰਟੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 6 ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਬੰਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਸਕਦੇ। ਹੁਣ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਿਤੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਛੋਟੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਣੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੋ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਕ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਹੀ 6 ਜਾਂ 6 ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨੇ। ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਫ਼ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਦੱਸ ਦਈਏ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਮੌਕੇ ਸਿਹਤ ਅਧਿਕਾਰੀ ਨੇ ਸੇਫ 6 ਕਿਹਾ, ਜੋ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਮੀਡੀਏਟ ਹਾਊਸਹੋਲਡ ਪਲੱਸ ਯੋਰ ਸੇਫ 6 ਕਿਹਾ, ਯਾਨੀ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਕ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਗਿਣੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ, ਸਗੋਂ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ 6 ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹ ਆ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ, ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਇਕੱਠ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ। ਇਸ ਦਾ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ, ਯਾਨੀ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ 6 ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਘਰ ਦੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਸਕਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਕ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਨੇ। ਪਰਿਵਾਰਕ ਮੈਂਬਰਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ 6 ਹੋਰ ਨੂੰ ਬੁਲਾਇਆ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿ ਵੱਡੇ ਇਕੱਠ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਂ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਤੋਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ 50 ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ, ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਸਾਫ਼ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਬੋਨੀ ਹੈਨਰੀ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ 50 ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋਣਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਇਹ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਸਥਾਈ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਜਾਵੇ ਕਿ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਦੇ ਦਰਮਿਆਨ ਫਾਸਲਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ। ਜਿਸ ਥਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਇਕੱਠ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਣਾ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਥਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਸਹੂਲਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਹੋਣੀਆਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਨੇ ਜਿਸ ਤਹਿਤ ਕੋਵਿਡ-19 ਦੀਆਂ ਹਦਾਇਤਾਂ ਦੀ ਪਾਲਣਾ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾ ਸਕੇ। ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਇਕੱਠ ਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ 50 ਤੱਕ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਦੇ ਵਿਅਕਤੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਜਾਜ਼ਤ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਵੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ, ਉੱਥੇ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਹਦਾਇਤ ਦੀ ਪਾਲਣਾ ਕੀਤੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਜਿਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜੇਕਰ ਅਜਿਹਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਮੋਟੇ ਫਾਈਨ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਚਾਰਜਿਸ ਦਾ ਸਾਹਮਣਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਪੈ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇੱਥੇ ਜ਼ਿਕਰਯੋਗ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਕੋਲੰਬੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ ਕੋਵਿਡ-19 ਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ 259 ਮੌਤਾਂ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਇਸ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਪਿਛਲੇ 3 ਦਿਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਕੋਲੰਬੀਆ ਅੰਦਰ 817 ਕੋਵਿਡ-19 ਦੇ ਮਰੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੀ ਨਵੀਂ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਈ ਹੈ। ਜੇਕਰ ਪੂਰੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਸੋਮਵਾਰ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਾਮ ਤੱਕ ਪੂਰੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ 2,19,982 ਮਰੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੀ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੀ ਹੈ। 9,973 ਮੌਤਾਂ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੀਆਂ ਨੇ। 1,84,306 ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਠੀਕ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਨੇ।
In the communities who mourn their loss. We have 5,077 people now under active public health monitoring, and 10,734 people have recovered from COVID-19. We have 4 new healthcare outbreaks, all in long-term care homes: Queen's Park Centre, Almenida Seniors Community and Agassiz Seniors Community in Fraser Health, and the Banfield Pavilion 4 West in Vancouver Coastal. In addition, 4 long-term care outbreaks have been declared over. 3 care outbreaks have been declared over, including Chartwell House and Thornbridge Gardens in Fraser Health, and the Point Grey Hospital outbreak in Vancouver Coastal Health. We now have 21 active outbreaks in the healthcare system, 19 in long-term care and assisted living, and 2 in acute care, involving 967 people, 549 residents, and 418 staff. Sorry, I don't have my notes together quite right. In addition, there's been 1 new community outbreak at the Surrey Pretrial Services Centre, and the outbreak at the FedEx office in Kelowna has been declared over. As a result of exposures affecting larger numbers of staff and teachers, 2 schools have been closed for the duration of the incubation period, one in the Fraser Health region and one where the outbreak was declared in Interior Health. We knew, of course, this would be a possibility, especially in some of the smaller schools where the potential of exposure impacts a larger proportion of the school population. And while the numbers of people with COVID are small, the requirement for those in contact to be in self-isolation has meant that the school can no longer safely operate. So the schools are working with the families to ensure that educational opportunities continue remotely through this period. I will remind people as well to regularly check health authority websites for their community exposures as well as school exposures. As we know, this is a bit of a sobering weekend for us. This is the largest number of cases that we've had in a 3-day period, and it is concerning to us that we continue to see growth, particularly in the Lower Mainland and in the Fraser Health region, to be specific. To get through our COVID-19 storm, it requires all of us to do our part. No exceptions, no workarounds, no trying to get around the very few but important rules that we have in place. Every time a friend, a neighbor, or family member tries to put aside the provincial orders, the safety precautions that we've put in place, all of our risk goes up. I'd like to remind everybody about our mass gathering order that refers across the board to gatherings of no more than 50 people. But there are caveats to this order. It requires that every location must have sufficient space that people can maintain safe physical distancing between everyone. And we know that when these COVID safety plans are followed in settings like restaurants, event spaces, churches, temples, hotels, that we don't see transmission. But too often, over the last few weeks, we've been hearing stories where people are trying to put aside the safety plans, that feel it's okay to have a few additional people, or for people to mix and mingle, and unfortunately, we have seen spread in these environments. Though the majority of places can have smaller group gatherings and do it safely, we also know the vast majority of homes cannot safely accommodate large numbers of people, including 50. So we need to pay more attention to those settings where we have people coming together for celebrations, whether that's weddings, celebrations of life, reveal parties, Thanksgiving. We are now seeing some of the effects of family gatherings that happened on the Thanksgiving weekend. These are important celebrations, but we are in the middle of a pandemic, and we need to take safety precautions to make sure that we're not passing the virus on to people that we care about, people that we're closest to. Similar to what occurred in the summer with vacation homes and rentals, where we were seeing parties that meant that people were inadvertently passing the virus on to many others. We have seen a notable increase in new cases and transmission of COVID-19 as a direct result of social gatherings in private homes. Many of the cases that we've seen in the last few weeks have been related to these important celebrations where people are getting together with larger numbers of people than can be accommodated safely within their homes. I'd like to be clear, this has been the case in every part of the province, but we know the risk is highest where there is more virus circulating in our community, and that has meant that this type of gathering, this type of celebration, has led to more cases in some areas of the province than others. So we do see that the cases and the transmission we're seeing in the Lower Mainland, in Metro Vancouver, and particularly in the Fraser Valley, in the Fraser Health region, have been related to the fact there's more virus circulating in our community, and this type of party is very risky right now. As a result, today I am putting in a new provincial health officer order. This order limits gatherings in private homes to no more than your immediate household plus your safe six additional others. This is to remind us that the rules are in place to protect us, that we need to be cognizant of having that safe space. And if you come from a large family that's living in a home together, 6 additional guests may be too many, and you may need to consider for the coming months to focus on your own immediate family and look at how you can have your social connections with others in a safe way. This is going to be a challenge, more for some people than others. But this is something we need to do together as a community so that we can get through the coming respiratory season and best protect each and every one of our families and our communities. Like all of the other orders, there is the probability and the possibility we have enabled enforcement, but my hope is that we will all pay attention, given what we are seeing in BC right now, and that enforcement won't be needed. That we will do the right thing as we have been doing, because it is about us and those we are closest to. And for a small number of people who may choose to disregard the order, enforcement will be stepped up, and we will be looking at how we can make sure that people do take this seriously. And it, in particular, we'll be focusing as well on whether there are additional measures we need to take in those areas where there is more transmission of the virus in our community and there may be more risks. So the immediate focus will be on the Fraser Health region, because the increase in new cases related to this type of celebration is more notable here. Orders, as we know, are a last resort, but it does reflect how serious we need to take this now. Social gatherings are where we are seeing significant transmission of COVID-19 in BC, and it is not slowing down. When you come together with others, you bring your risks with you, and when you leave, others take their risks home. We've seen that across the province, where people have moved to, have gone back home, have gone to attend celebrations or parties, and have gone home and brought the virus with them. And this has affected long-term care homes, our hospitals, it's affected schools. And it's affected businesses and workplaces. I know for many people this will be a significant challenge, that large community celebrations are part of their culture and their community. And we must recognize that right now, as we move into winter, we move into the respiratory season, and this virus is present in our community, we are also learning that it transmits more easily in the winter months. So we need to take additional precautions for the coming months. And that means no Halloween parties. That means we need to focus on small outdoor celebrations and memorials for people's funerals, for burials, for November 11th. We need to make those plans now. With COVID in our communities, having large gatherings in our homes is too dangerous. And just as religious leaders throughout the province have so strongly supported our provincial response, I am calling on community leaders to do the same. Help your communities do the right thing as we work to address this global pandemic and its impact on us here in BC. I understand that this restriction is the opposite of many of our cultural, religious, and social expectations. But as we all know, this is not an ordinary year, and this is not forever, but it is what we need to pay attention to for the next few months. Every gathering needs to be with our household and safe six only, and for some large families, even that may be too many. As a host, I ask you not to invite others to your gathering right now, and not to take offense if people back out or don't attend. Show you care by keeping those outside of your immediate household off the invite list for these types of parties. You can have them safely following the safety rules in some venues if they're large enough to host a larger gathering. But what we're seeing now is transmission in households. In addition to this new order, and in light of the increased risks we're seeing right now as we move into respiratory season and influenza season, I'm also stepping up our recommendations and advice around wearing masks. It is now the expectation that people will wear a non-medical mask in public spaces. It's not an order, because this is something that I know we support as part of our mutual responsibilities to protect ourselves and to protect each other. As part of this, I'm asking businesses to review your COVID-19 safety plans with this in mind. If your employees are in high traffic area or amongst many people outside of your household while at work, a mask can help protect you and those around you, and we need to wear them as we are going into this season. Please also ensure that appropriate protocols are placed in lunchrooms and other spots where people will normally gather, because those are also areas where we now see people transmitting this virus to each other. Now is the time for all of us to work together while staying apart, to slow the spread of COVID-19, and together we will get through this winter. The vast majority of people in BC, I thank you for doing what you have been doing and sticking with this, even though it is hard and sometimes we are very weary of these restrictions. But thank you for keeping your groups small, for staying apart when you're away from home, for wearing masks, and for using your layers of protection, because this is what will get us through. And this is what will help us as we're going through the next few months. So no matter how this storm evolves, we will continue to do it together and to be kind to each other, to stay calm, and to be safe.